The next graph that we're going to do will use this data. This data being Fred and George sold jelly beans in their store and recorded how many jelly beans they sold for 4 months straight for each month. In October, they sold 80 boxes of jelly beans. In November, they sold 50 boxes of jelly beans. In December, they sold 65 boxes of jelly beans. And in January, they sold 40 boxes of jelly beans. Draw a pictograph. With that being said, we know that a pictograph is a graph that is represented by using pictures or some sort of symbol. So we're going to determine that one square or an entire box, because we're working with boxes of jelly beans, equals 10 jelly beans. So then with that being said, we're going to determine that half of the entire square, or in this case a rectangle could also be perceived as, will be read as 5 jelly beans. So now we go on to making our graph, and we just place a straight line at the bottom for our months, because that is what we're measuring in, and we'll just do 4 lines because we are only measuring 4 months. And we have October on the 1st, November on the 2nd, December on the 3rd, and then lastly, January. So now, we'll get started by looking at our data. It says that for October, Fred and George sold 80 boxes of jelly beans. So, we can figure out how many squares we need to represent the boxes of jelly beans by counting by tens. And we'll start off by one box, which equals 10 jelly beans. Go to the second box, which equals 20 jelly beans. The third box equals 30 jelly beans. The fourth box equals 40 jelly beans. The fifth box, which equals 50 jelly beans. The sixth box, which equals 60 jelly beans. The seventh box, which equals 70 jelly beans. And then the eighth box, which equals 80 jelly beans. And if needed, we can write 10 in all of our boxes so we know how many jelly beans is represented with each box, and then we can count up as we go. So we know that that's 10, and then we have 20, and 30, and then 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80 as we continue counting up. So then we move on to November. And in November, we see that they only sold 50 boxes of jelly beans. So we'll do the same, where we count by tens. And we have one box of jelly beans, or one box picture that represents 10 jelly beans. So then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 jelly beans. So it takes 5 boxes to represent 50 jelly beans. So now we'll move on to December. And we need 65 jelly beans, so we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then we face the problem where if we do another full box, it'll then be 70 jelly beans, 70 boxes of jelly beans, which would be too large of a number, but if we leave it at this, then it's not enough. So then we look back to our key over here, and we see that a rectangle, or half of a box, counts for 5 jelly beans, which works in our case, because then we just need 5 more. So we'll draw half of a box, and then we see that that's 5. So then we could write in how much each box or rectangle is worth. So then if we went back to count it, we would see how that is represented as 65. So then we'll go on to January, which is just 40 boxes of jelly beans. So we count by tens again. We have 10, 20, 30, and 40 jelly beans, and it takes 4 boxes to represent the 40 boxes that were sold in the month of January. And this is what our pictograph would look like.